The Mahoosuc Region is part of the Western Main Mountains, one of the last large contiguous temperate forests in North America. It's really a special place. It's unique, and the Mahoosuc Mountains running through is the defining characteristic. As the planet warms, the Mahoosuc Range has the little nooks and crannies that are going to allow the species to survive as the broader region becomes less hospitable. So it's a very, very special and important place that we still have time to make a difference.
What Mahoosuc Land Trust is doing is, in our corner, this linchpin that connects all these pieces together, they're managing a little over 8,000 acres right now for conservation purposes. And that's a pretty cool thought, that here in the middle of this hugely important ecosystem that stretches all the way up into Canada, we're doing our part in our corner to protect and conserve the land, the waters, the forest. And in doing so, not only we're helping us humans, but we're helping all these birds that I'm so passionate about.
Valentine Farm is a birding hotspot for eBird, a branch of the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. We have over 100 species of birds right here on Valentine Farm, and we have a dedicated group of birders learning more and documenting that.
It's important for anyone of any age to get outside and experience where you live, know the flora, know the fauna, whether it's hiking, whether it's swimming, canoeing, and just be outside and experience the environment as it is.
We still have a chance to conserve large unfragmented areas of the forest, because when large roads go into an area, suddenly you lose the ability for many species to migrate and move, and for habitats to shift, which becomes increasingly important as our climate is changing. So the habitat gets broken down into smaller and smaller blocks in New England, and we still have time to conserve some of these large contiguous areas and make a difference.
Valentine Farm, it is so much more than the 150 acres of property. It's our home. It is the office and heart and soul of Mahoosuc Land Trust. When you come and visit the property, it is a property of possibilities. For example, we have a 1.2-mile universally accessible trail, which is marvelous. It's our gateway property. It's where you can come here, you can pick up maps about all of our other properties, you can come in and chat with us and learn about volunteer opportunities or more about Mahoosuc Land Trust. We could also develop this as a hub of environmental outdoor learning, of citizen science.
Do you eat those?
No, it wouldn't hurt you if you did. They have some medicinal properties. It's not going to.
But in addition, here at Valentine Farm, we have other initiatives going on. We have a pollinator garden underway.
We are in the pollinator garden at the Mahoosuc Land Trust, which is an essential activity to have in all communities because we are running out of insects and running out of pollinators. So the Land Trust has developed this garden to bring them back.
We need to keep these critters around because pollinators are as important as water. The human race cannot survive without water. Well, they cannot survive without pollinators either because there will be no food.
This place is a gift from the gods. And I just find it so exciting. Every time I come here, there's people dog walking, people with walkers, and swarms of children who are just jabbering away.
Today we had our first second grade environmental day for students from Crestland Park School in Bethel, Woodstock School, and Andover School. We had a 11 stations, students filtered around through on 15-minute time slots.
The white, see the white in there? It's a type of feldspar.
Well, I know part of Mahoosuc Land Trust's mission is to bring more children and more families into the outdoors, and this is a great way and a great opportunity to do that. Some of these children may never have been to this site before, and some of their parents that are joining them today as volunteers may never have been there. We learned about counting tree rings.
Help you guys this one.
Yeah.
You see the circle?
We learned about essential and non-essential items to bring hiking. We learned about bird voices and bird songs.
Oh my gosh, they were totally into it. Kids love learning about mushrooms. They're like little sponges, especially because it's something tactile. They can go out, they can see. There are so many different kinds out there. Most of the trees and plants on Earth have relationships with mushrooms.
What the heck?
And it's pretty crazy. So all of these plants.
Well, I hope they bring home all the fun that they had today and recognize that this is a great local resource to them, that they can come back, they can bring their siblings and bring grandma and grandpa and come back, have a picnic out here, come walk the trails, recognize that the trails are accessible, that you can push strollers, that you can bring a wheelchair, that it's really meant for everybody to come and take advantage of.
Ooh, a tandem or something.
We lived in Florida for 30 years before we came here. And we just saw so much lost in Florida during that time. So much of our favorite places that we didn't want to see that happen here. And people here at the time couldn't believe that that could happen. But that's what drew us into the Land Trust and into the conservation movement in Maine.
When the Land Trust started looking at whitecap and seeing an opportunity to conserve the summit back in 2007, the state's ecologist said, this is an area of extreme importance from an ecological standpoint.
We saw the value in preserving the top of this mountain. Before we moved here, we bought our property, had no idea that across the street there was a spectacular 360-degree view.
Again, it's that large contiguous habitat area that also has the super advantage of diverse recreational opportunities and scenic aspects that are a winning package when you put it all together, a really compelling property of statewide significance.
And we were floored when we first hiked up it, as soon as we had the opportunity. And we wanted to preserve that. Landowners have been very good about letting people use it historically, but that's no guarantee for the future. Now it's an absolute guarantee. And other people have been using it because of that, because the Land Trust promotes it to some degree. It says, these are the assets we have, come see them. So we wanted to make sure that always happened. We wanted to do our part.
Almost from day one, back 30 years ago, the Mahoosuc Land Trust was seeing the importance of the river, and our first properties and first conservation easements were here on the Androscoggin River. We've acquired 10 separate pieces of land on the Androscoggin, including river islands. We've created canoe launches in 4 separate locations. The Androscoggin River is one of the defining characteristics of the region, along with the Mahoosuc Mountain Range itself. And it's really kind of at the core of the outdoor experience, both from a recreational standpoint and an ecological standpoint. So it's a huge part of what we've perceived as our mission to care for and conserve.
Start getting all set with our PFDs. Let's make a little circle right over here.
But everybody is having fun. Everybody is enjoying what they're doing.
Our staff are enjoying themselves, the campers are enjoying themselves, the people going on the river are enjoying themselves. Every single person comes back saying how beautiful it is, what gorgeous scenery it is. They're seeing some wildlife. They're saying what a fabulous experience it is.
Well, when I first arrived here in 1971, the river was considered to be filthy. Mothers told their kids not to go near it. It's changed dramatically. Mahoosuc Land Trust, we started in 1987 with a group called the Friends of the Androscoggin, which really was brought about by the Clean Water Act, the interest in doing something about rivers, and realizing that the river was a resource, not as a dumping ground.
I think it's symbolic that the Valentine Farm Conservation Center is on the banks of the Androscoggin River, and we see that as a place where people will be able to get to the river as we develop trails down onto the floodplain and restore plant habitat for pollinators and birds and wildlife, and really try to integrate the river into that property for people.
We realized that we in Maine have protected quite a bit of land, and it's not really about quantity of land so much anymore, but what do the people in our community want to see protected so that we all as a community can use that land. Step Falls is a perfect example. It's a place where people have strong feelings, they love it, they want to be able to go there, and because it's in our hands, it's protected for them, and they will always be able to go there.
Rumford Whitecap and Step Falls are two examples of many of our larger work in the area. We've conserved about 8,500 acres of land, and when you add it all up in its totality, it's starting to become a significant contribution to both public recreation and to the habitat important to wildlife. Everything from our moose and bear down to the pollinators and plants that are important to our region.
We've had an awful lot of success working with volunteers, just general volunteers from the general public coming in every year, people that hike this, people that have never hiked Whitecap, but have heard about it or want to go somewhere new every year to help out someone because they're outdoor enthusiasts.
Oh my goodness, I cannot even imagine the Land Trust without our cadre of volunteers. They bring so much to the Land Trust. They come out of sheer love of our mission, who we are, and what we do. They bring passion, they bring energy and excitement and big ideas.
The property is named after the Chapman and McCoy families who were here for many generations. Ginny McCoy loved this property. She was a widow for many years and walked and hiked and cross-country skied all around the property. She loved it, and she told her friends and family that after she was gone, she didn't want to see it developed, and keeping it in its natural state was very, very important to her, and Mahoosuc Land Trust was here to play that role and make sure that it would remain undeveloped and used for recreation and the enjoyment of our communities.
The tall pines always reminded me of the Avenue of Giants in California on a much smaller level. But I think the land is beautiful. It's almost 500 acres here, and the surrounding land is now managed by Mahoosuc Land Trust and Conservation. So that was a generous gift that Ginny made to the area. And I think it's great for both Bethel locals and all of our visitors, and it's just something special.
Ginny McCoy's piece of property, about between 500 and 600 acres of land that allows wildlife to travel from the highest regions to the river, which is essential, and they can do it without being interrupted, a development of any kind, and that makes it really truly a natural place.
So for wildlife, a lot of traces of black bear. We haven't seen one here on the property yet. I've seen black bear on the drive home a couple times. I've seen them going out towards New Hampshire. We've seen bobcat and many deer. I remember one morning we looked out this front window here and just saw a big moose just trotting across the front yard. So
this property is going to be a great escape for residents of the area and visitors to come down and within a few minutes from leaving downtown Bethel be off in some beautiful quiet woods, climbing up to views of the Presidential and White Mountains, being down by the Androscoggin River. We're at a particularly important area in the western Maine Mountains where fragmentation of the forest is a concern, and the ability to piece together large contiguous areas of land that can be used for forestry, recreation, but protect habitat at the same time are very important. And to help us balance the need for development, residential development, the second home market, to balance that with conservation is very important.
Now, here we are 30 years later, we've got people coming here certainly to use the river, but we've also got people coming for multiple other reasons. There are more and more pathways all the time, and hiking trails, biking trails.
Grab a tree and hope for the best.
You'll have some very dedicated conservation of specific lands is our most important mission. A healthy environment is also very important. And then you have people who very simply are, learners who want to come and learn more about how to do this. So it takes it from a mission statement, gold ring aspiration to you come dig in the dirt and it just feels good.
We're here on this earth and they're not making any more land, and it's what we have. So for the wildlife, for the enjoyment of everybody, the town, the people, it's just a really important, maybe one of the most important things we can protect.
It's the children who are going to save the world. I strongly believe that, and I see their idealism and their excitement about doing the right thing for the planet.